What's going on, my people, and welcome back to Rock's movie reviews. And man, I'd love to speak to you, family, but this movie, whew, was definitely over the top, but in a good way. I know Ryan Reynolds was uh, going after this project for a very long time, and then it finally came to fruition after someone leaked basically a concept of what Deadpool would be. I think they recorded something, and whatever they recorded actually, I think, ended up in the movie. And this movie, it was Deadpool, the original 2016, starring Ryan Reynolds himself, man. This movie, let's start off by saying it's one of the most funniest comic movies of all time. This movie really hit Deadpool in the head, man. This movie's dirty, very funny, sexy, it's violent. It's unapologetically itself. And at times it can be very romantic. Yeah, it's weird. Deadpool definitely arrived in 2016. I really, really like Deadpool. And you know what? I didn't expect to, honestly. Seriously, I was never a true fan of the character because I was a little too young to follow. And, the merc with the mouth, in a sense that I hardly knew anything about him, honestly. And until I got a little older. And the humor as well as the violence seemed forced and overdone for me when it comes to the trailers. But still, I remained very interested in this film. I told myself when this movie comes out, this is definitely a must watch. Especially, I'm a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds, and whatever he touches, it can be trash. And I'm there anyways. He's in the box office, man. They already got my money. And I just never expected this movie to actually be good. I thought it would be funny. I thought it would be so. The actual movie, the part that we got on screen, I think was awesome. Until the reviews started to arrive, right? And a lot of people were either to the left or to the right, nothing down the middle. After most critics unexpectedly showered the newest superhero movie with praise, with a lot of negative praise as well. I went in cautiously optimistic, but still fully prepared to take in the film. The first thing that I noticed was how inventive the story telling is. This is the movie without spoiling too much. If you haven't seen the movie, you've been living under a rock, man. But this is one of those movies that starts off from the end and builds your way up to throughout the movie to where it currently starts. And I like films like that, and they twisted it for me, especially coming from a comic movie. I really never seen that, so I thought that was very intriguing. The film throws you into the action from the first moment, literally the very first moment of the film, and then it goes back and forth in a very brilliant way, and it has a lot of very unexpected ways to slowly kind of unwind you, rewind you, because the story is insane, but it's oddly charming. This man isn't a hero; he's an anti-hero. The movie, what I liked the most that made me laugh was the flashbacks and the fast forwards. In other movies, they could be annoying as hell, but in this movie, it was well done. Rightly so. They can help render even a somewhat simple story fresh and exciting take in comic movies, especially. You do see things like this in other movies, like rom-coms and stuff like that. And this movie, in many ways, sometimes when it comes to his love interest, man, Modena, Baccarin, gorgeous. They keep it in a very funny way. It's done in such a way that I think only Deadpool could pull off. You know, um, and that's exactly how Deadpool, felt to me right from the start. Like a fresh, if somewhat dirty, bolt of energy. It's like I had 5 Red Bulls when I saw this movie. The action itself, I think, was beautifully choreographed, beautifully designed. They employed a lot of playful visuals and using pretty much, every camera technique available, which I loved in this film, especially in the still shots where it's like he's doing a flip, but it's not an action flip. It's like just a picture. What I mean? It forces you to use your imagination. I liked it a lot. It never feels repetitive, and the pacing is, I think, close to perfection in this movie. But And that was probably the key to me liking the film so much. The pacing went by very smooth. There's a beating heart underneath all the action and all the carnage, and that has a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds, man. Brilliantly portrays this character, and has great chemistry with all his, you know, co-stars. He has this certain chemistry with Modena Baccarin, which is it's playful, it's sexy, very unique to the story. What came as a complete surprise to me was how romantic Deadpool was in this movie. It's funny. It's not only an action film, but it has this love story in this film that's probably the most sincere I've seen in a superhero movie, and it gives the film the strong emotional core which so many of these movies nowadays lack. You know, the humor which I initially feared would just be nonstop juvenile wisecracks and soon become distracting also worked surprisingly well. Not every line or every joke lands, but the majority do. But that's the beauty of this character. They don't really need to land every joke because every joke is not intended for you to laugh. Some jokes just are there to make you think, like, what the fuck did he mean here? Deadpool in this movie cannot help himself. He's an animal, and as long as he's able to breathe, he'll crack a joke and a wisecrack and make fun of himself and those around him. This movie's very meta, he breaks the fourth wall throughout the movie. It's a clinical condition that he has. He's not a stand-up comedian who jokes need to land. He's one of those stand-up comedians that just spits truth with jokes. Kind of like a David Chappelle type. And he's just a madman, man. You gotta love Bryan Reynolds in this movie. The comedy, in his case, is born out of tragedy in this film. Without spoiling too much, there's a lot of things that go on. And I was really shocked. Despite all the praise, it's not a perfect film. The villain in this revenge tale could have been a little more memorable, and the story itself is a bit, I think, too derivative to really do its highly unconventional protagonist. That he insists he's not a hero justice, but it's a damn good first entry, in this franchise, especially now with Marvel taking the helm. We're gonna see what they do. I hope they keep it rated R. I think that's the main thing. I don't care what they do with it as long as they keep it rated R. And hopefully they'll explore this character a little more when it comes to Marvel, and give him more relevance and give him more importance in a film for more reasons than the reasons that they give in the movie. If Deadpool is a financial success with the third movie, which I know it will be, I'm sure they'll put him in other movies. He's one of those characters where I don't think he necessarily needs his own movie. You could definitely plug him in here, plug him in there, like a Nick Fury type character. And it's clear that Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. I don't think anybody else could play him. This is a vital role. And studios need to know that to keep it rated R. It's a superhero film, and hopefully we'll see more in the future. Many people might feel different, and I respect their opinion. But I've grown tired of these, entirely bloodless CGI overkills and these $200 million productions where even the most terrible villains talk like girls, Mormons, and there's a gigantic audience out there that's over 18 that loves to read comic books and can obviously handle real world language, real world sex, and real world violence in superhero movies. But this genre is so diverse, it's ridiculous to believe that there's just comic books that have these pictures in them that are PG-13 when it's not the truth. We have many rated R, NC-17 comic books out there, and to put them all in a film adaptation, sometimes you can't. But Deadpool should definitely live on the screen, regardless of the material that comes out of his mouth. He's not made for kids, we all know that. And I think that's what makes him successful, As it is, I think Deadpool was dirty. You already know, I said it before, funny, sexy, violent, which is decidedly not for your children, to a certain age. Um, but you should definitely go check this movie out, as I did many times. And they do have a sequel, which I will be doing a review to down the line. And yeah, man, I gave this movie a 8 out of 10. To me, Deadpool is a triumph. It's one of those artistic visions that get little credit. You know what I mean? As I think Fox had zero faith in a success of a Deadpool movie. And to put things into perspective, Ryan Reynolds fought for this film from 2004 when Blade Trinity was released. You know what I mean? Reynolds' company went on to shoot the test footage, and then it was leaked online by Reynolds, supposedly, because Fox had no intentions to release it to the public. And boy, were they wrong. Because finally, after using years of begging and tutoring and overwhelmingly positive responses, we got the movie that we got. And eventually they greenlit it. I think they cut their budget by like $7 million. I think they made this movie on a $40 to $60 million budget, which is not a lot. And they did it pretty much last minute, which caused a lot of the writers to scratch some action sequences that I'm sure would have been great to see. But I'm just stoked we got to see what we saw. So 8 out of 10. If you like this movie, if you like this review, definitely hit me up with a like. Hit up those notification bells, man, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Peace.